Here you go. Right. So on our last session, what we did was this machine was built and captured as Vim. So that's what we have here, capture win7.vim file now, right? So this is the output from the build and capture task sequence. Now the agenda is creating a deployment task sequence. And what are the core components of deployment task sequence? So before, what are the core components of deployment task sequence? Let's talk about what are the core components of build and capture task sequence. So for this, OS plus, if you have any updates in the sense patches, plus core applications. If you want, you can have those core applications inside or outside. That's a difference. Core application plus, then you need this custom settings, if any, right? So these are the core components, and what is the output from this is a capture.vim file, right? Now, what are the components for deployment task sequence? So capture.vim file, whatever is the name. In our case, its name is capture win7.vim file. So whatever is the vim file, which is the output from the build and capture task sequence, that is going to be the input for this first thing. Then we need some LOB applications, right? Line of business applications, which are specific to the different departments. But before line of business applications, you require drivers, right? For the different hardwares. So you require drivers, you require LOB applications, and you require some apps like which has agents like antivirus. You can't have antivirus at the start of the task sequence. You can't have antivirus as part of the build and capture task sequence, because antivirus is something which you wanted to have at the last of the task sequence. So that one is definitely because you don't want the GUID, the same GUID on the agent GUID on all the machines. That's the reason you will not put it inside the capture vim, that's for sure. But even in the deployment task sequence, you will not put it at the initial stage, because most of the times what will happen, antivirus or the if you have McAfee or any Windows agent, so most of the times what they will do, they'll start blocking some of the exes. They start blocking, or they start scanning those exes, right? So it's better we have it at the end of the task sequence rather than start of the task sequence, which might fail the task sequence sometimes, right? So you'll have any antivirus. If you'll have it towards the end of the task sequence. And then if you're running this deployment task sequence on we talked about different scenarios like refresh scenario, replace scenario, and in place, right? Depending on which kind of scenario you are, if required, you'll do a user data restore, right? So if you're saying about user data restore, you should have even done a user data backup based on the deployment scenario, right, guys? Are you with me?
Yeah. Just 1 hour, 26.
Okay. So the output of this entire task sequence is mass deployment, right? So with this, what you're getting, what is the final output, is a standard uh, client image, in this case Windows 7 machines, standard Windows 7 machines with their respective drivers. They're getting their respective drivers, right? Plus they're getting respective applications. So this is what we are doing, right, guys? So what we can do here is, since we have um, we have I can take one bare metal machine now. Instead of reference Win7, I can take completely a new bare metal machine, right? And I can show you how the deployment task sequence will run. That's one thing what we can do, right? The other one is like I'll also try to see if I can do a replace, like refresh and replace, like trying to do a user data capture here and restore the user data back here, right? Similarly, trying to take a user data capture from one machine and restoring it on a different machine, right? Let's see simultaneously how many VMs we can run and how many scenarios we can run to save time. Let's start now. So to start, what is the initial point? Capture.vim file, right? So where is this capture.vim file? Currently it is just on the SCM server folder. It is just lying here. First of all, you need to bring this into SCM console, right? So let's do that. Let's go to console. Under operating systems, you have operating system image, right? So this Windows 7 image, what you see here is from your CD or DVD. Now let me create a new folder here. Call it as custom image. Add operating system image here. It is under capture, right? Capture win7.vim file. Capture win7, so I can leave it as is. So now I have it in my console, but do I have it in all my distribution points? No, I don't, right? So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to distribute the content. Distribution point. By now you're familiar with all these screens, right? So now, it will turn into yellow and then slowly after some time it will turn into green, right? So in progress, it is in progress now.
Manohar, I have a question.
Yes, Manju.
This distribute content will be used only at this place or any or other places also be used, because I see it will be visible in other places also when we right click on any such a distribution box.
So if I understand correct, your question is, can I distribute content in any other way? Is this the only way or can I distribute it in any other way? Is that the question?
Yeah, it can be utilized in other places like where software pushing what we are doing at that time, or only here it will be utilized.
No, see, like like we have created the applications, right? So even there also we did the same thing, right? When we created applications, we have distributed them. When we have created packages, we have distributed. Did I get your question right? So here also we have that
Just
distributed content.
yes, that's what I meant to ask.
Yeah. So you distribute content. So whenever you're creating any content on the SCCM console, right? I've created packages, I've created applications, so patches, updates, right? Or if you're creating what is the other thing? Driver packages, drivers, or the operating system image, anything which has a content, you need to distribute it. So only then the client machines, when they are trying to install that content, like install drivers or install image or install applications, right? So anything when a client machine wants to install, it requires the source files and it will go to the distribution point. So before it goes to the distribution point, the content should be distributed to there. So that's the whole point, right? Right, Manju? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, my thing was only to understand that it can be utilized in other place also, and I got it.
Yes, okay, okay. And sometimes you make change to the content. Since we are talking about distribution content, sometimes you make changes to it. Like, for example, in say suppose you have one Adobe Flash player, you have one content, right? So what basically you do is you have a VBS which will trigger that Adobe Flash player.exe, say suppose. So tomorrow you have, instead of 10 you have 11, right? So you have made some change to the content. Instead of creating a new package or new application, you want to just update the existing one, right? So in that case what you will do is you will make the change at the source. That means you will make the change at the source directory wherever it is. For example, here in this case, if I making change to Chrome, I'll remove this MSI here, I'll replace it with the new MSI, and here I can redistribute it. So here what I'll do, wait a minute. So here what I can do is I can redistribute the content once again by clicking on distribute content. So what will happen if whenever there is a change in my source, it will update it. And if you see here, wait a minute. What I can give it is I'll get a version number and I can change that version number keeps on updating. Let me show it to you on package. That would be much simpler.
Because I used that, but I didn't get the results how it is displaying.
What is that you used?
The distributing content. So
Mhm.
I didn't get what is actually happening. I'm doing in correct way. Like where the results are getting displayed, how it is working. I didn't get it.
No, okay, do you understand now or?
Yeah, I am understanding.
Okay. So basically what's happening is, so by default, if say suppose the source version of Adobe Reader is 1, right? You made few changes to it. So what you'll do is you go here and in packages, you have something called update distribution points. Since you made some change, you can always do update distribution point, and this will change the source version from 1 to 2, right? So Sccm will know that there is some change in the backend content, right? So it will recopy or it will try to find out what is the difference, and then it will copy that to the distribution point. Right, then the source version based on the source version, right? So similarly how it happens with applications as well, but in applications what will happen is you just redistribute the content instead of update distribution. So when you redistribute the content, automatically it will understand that there is some change in that particular application version, and it will get updated. So let's go back here. Where were we? We were at the OS image, custom image. Okay, so now it is in green, so it has been distributed. So what's next? Now the content is distributed, and okay, guys, if you have questions like where is this getting distributed, do you want to see like where exactly this is going into? So when I'm saying I'm distributing to a DP, so where can I find it on DP? Is that your question? Because from Manju, that's what I'm understanding. Is that the question with others as well? Sorry, I can't hear you. I see you're unmuted, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, I just, yes, I do want to see it actually. Where is it?
Okay, so in 2007, SCM 2007, it used to be pretty straightforward. Like if you go to the DP, say suppose this is our DP, right? Though it is our SCM server, it is also our DP. So typically when you go to your DP, there used to be one folder and all your packages that you have distributed would have come to that folder in 2007. Starting from 2012, they've made it a little bit complex. It's not that straightforward, but it will be under SCM content library. So you see this folder here, SCM content library. So this you'll find it on your distribution points. So if you have 10 distribution points, on all the distribution points, you will have a folder called SCM content library, right? So when you're distributing it from a site server, when you're distributing something to 10 DPs, and all the 10 DPs, when you go to the SCM content lib, you'll have three different libraries here. One is called data library, the file library, and the package library. Okay, and if you see the size, package library, it has 6.66 GB, right? Wait a minute, that's not package library. That's the whole SCM content. So package library, you will have just few bytes, and if you go to file library, you have the actual content of 6.66 GB, right? And if you go to the data library, again you'll have a few bytes here, right? So actually what happens is the way this entire SCM content is structured in a way that under file library you'll have all the files that you have copied from your site server, for in this case, for example, Google Chrome, right? The Google Chrome MSI will be under that file library, but its extension will be different, okay? And the pointers to that particular file will be under package library and data library, right? So let me explain in this way. So guys, I've talked about single instance storage earlier. Anyone remember that SIS, single instance storage? While talking about Vim file and ISOs, I talked about single instance storage. Anybody remember that? Okay, so let me explain this to you. So what will happen is there is something called a concept called single instance storage. This is related to file saving, right? On a particular hard disk or on, you know, even in an image. So this concept of single instance storage, what exactly will happen is, say suppose if you have a DLL or EXE or for that matter any file, if you're calling that file at 10 different locations, instead of copying them 10 times, what the single instance storage will do is it will only copy it once, right? And then it will have a pointer to it, right? So what we are doing here in the file library, if you see, open it. So there is just one file here, right? 6 KB file. Similarly, you have, let me show you a bigger one. Like there must be one with mhm, that MSI, right? You have that MSI. So even for that MSI, you'll have one. So okay, there you go. You have a 1700 KB file, right? So this file, say suppose if it is being called at 10 different for 10 different applications, right? So say suppose you have Visual C++, you have .NET. So in the source files of Visual C++, there will be some certain files, certain exes in the background, right? Similarly, for maybe for .NET framework, there are certain files. Maybe these files, there are few files which are common between .NET and Visual C++. So instead of copying them twice, what Sccm will do is it will copy it only once, and then it will have, if instead of file library, it will have under package library, it will have pointers to it. See, these are the packages, right? So under these packages, these are the names of application that we have created. Under these names, it will give, okay, I've copied this particular file under this particular folder, this particular file under this particular folder, so that it will not, it doesn't need to, copy it 10 times. Guys, are you able to follow me, or you want me to show it with an example?
Understandable, Bernard.
Okay, okay, cool. So, is it the same case with us?
No,
Sorry, say I didn't understand. You said yes or no?
yes, yes,
Okay, okay,
I
cool,
understand.
cool then. So this is going to be the location. So next time if somebody asks you where is it going to copy, so it is going to be copied under the same content library, right? So let's come back to our part, which is okay. Our Windows 7 image has been uploaded. Now let's go to the task sequence. So this time I'll create a new task sequence, and now, earlier you remember we have selected build and capture a reference operating system image, but now we already have an existing image, right? So install an existing image package. Make it Win7 deployment task sequence, right? Browse to the boot image. Again, this is going to be our 64 boot image because the OS itself is 64-bit, right? Next. So now you have that image package. Browse to that location under custom image, capture Win7. This is the image, and so these are the different sectors it has, while captured, like based on your C drive and D drive and multiple sections. It has made it as 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3 while capturing, right? So even if you see the task sequence, build and capture task sequence, you might have seen that one of one is capturing, or one of three is capturing, then two of three is capturing, and finally three of three is capturing, right? So that has just captured into three different parts. So based on, in one you'll have the recovery partition, in the second one you'll have the actual OS, and three, if you have any data disk, you'll have that information in three. So that's how it is structured. So let's keep it as all images. And if you have the product key, with this time we are actually building the final machine, right? So this time if you have product key, give it. If you don't have product key, or you have a KMS in your environment, the key management server, so if it is going to automatically activate that machine, right? So then no need to give any product key here, right? Enable the local administrative password. So give a standard local admin password here. Yes, this time you're not going to join it to work group. This time you're actually building machines for your production environment, right? So earlier it was image, so we have selected work group. So this time it is domain. Browse to your domain, maillab.com. If you want to give a specific OU to this, you can always give. Okay, right now you have default OUs. Let me create one quickly, one OU.
So Manohar, can we create multiple OUs? Yes, on AD we can do that, but can we point it to multiple OUs?
Yes,
Say
definitely.
suppose we want to do it laptop separate and the desktop separate.
Hmm.
Can we?
Yes, yes, we can definitely do that.
Or we have to do it from AD itself
No, no,
once it is in a OU?
no, no, no. We can definitely do that. I'll show that as well.
All right.
So I'll call this as deployed machines. Okay. So let's go back to our, yeah. So here I'm giving deployed machines. I'll show you once the entire task sequence is completed. I'll show you that part. Okay. So account.
Yeah.
So we'll select our standard account, which is administrator.
So one more question here,
Mhm.
Manohar.
Go
So
ahead.
do we always use administrator or do we have separate accounts in a real-time scenario? There
Yes,
might
yes.
be a service account, there might
There
be something.
will be
So where
different
all?
different accounts. So sorry to interrupt you, but this was discussed in the earlier sessions, right? So you'll have a different account for client push installation, right? You'll have a different account for domain joining these machines, and you'll have a different account for called SCCM administrator account. Right, so there are different accounts that you typically use, but since this is a lab, so what I'm doing is, for everything I'm just using my administrator account, the domain administrator account. So if I have to
Okay.
just quickly write down those just for your understanding purpose. So client push account is different. You have network access account, that is different, right? Then you have domain join account is different. You have one SCCM administrator account who will have access to this entire console, and he will also have access not only to SCCM administrator, he will have even permissions to SQL as well. He will be your SQL administrator as well. So typically at least these four accounts are required. Apart from the you have the schema admin account in the initial time when you need to extend your schema. So what I did, I've just created one domain administrator, and using the same thing for client push, network access, domain join. He himself is the SCM administrator, he himself is SQL admin, and since there is just one domain, he himself is the schema admin as well. But in real time, you'll have these number of accounts. Clear?
Thanks.
Okay, so install the Sccm client agent, right? So here it is asking, do you want me to capture any user settings, right? Capture user data and restore it back. For now, you can say yes, go ahead. Later, if you want to make any changes to it, you don't want user data to be captured or restored, you can make changes. For now, you say next. We don't have any software updates, right? We haven't gone till patch management. If you have software updates, this is where you're going to select the software updates. Install applications. So let's assume, so in our deployment tasking, what you're giving, capture.vim file, drivers, and I told LOB apps, right? Let's assume that Adobe Reader is the LOB app. So I can select Adobe Reader is LOB app. So next. So a basic task sequence has been created. So when you edit it, so this is where you'll do all your customization. So coming to your point, Amar, your question was related to applying network settings, right? So your question was, so can I just add all of them to this deployed machine? Is that the only way? Or if my machine is laptop, it has to go to laptop. If it is desktop, it has to go to a desktop OU, right? Not just that, sometimes what will happen based on the location, if it is in US, if it is in Pittsburgh, or if it is in Dallas, Texas, or it is in a different state, right? So based on the city or state, there will be a different OU. And under that OU, again, it has to find whether it is in LT or desktop, and accordingly it has to put that machine, right? So for all that purpose, what you will do is you have something called options here. So when you go to options, I already discussed this with you earlier. So what you will have is you have a condition. You can give a condition. So I can put a condition here. Okay, I can query the WMI. Right, by querying WMI, I can know whether this is a desktop or laptop, right? So I can query the WMI. I can write a WMI query, which will find out whether it is a laptop or desktop. So I can write select so and so and so to find out whether this is a laptop. And if this condition is met, that means if it is laptop, only then add this to, instead of deployed machines, add it to laptop. And if it is desktop, I'll create, right, I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here. So now I have one more apply network settings, and here instead of deployed, I'll mention this as desktop. So suppose the earlier one I'll mention is apply desktop network settings, and below one I'll rename it as apply laptop network settings. Right, like this I can create even 100 lines here. 100 times I can copy paste and I can create 100 lines here. And all I will do is for every time I'll change here the actual OU, and in the condition I'll write a condition in such a way that it will query and find out what this machine is exactly. Is it a desktop or laptop, or does it belong to a particular country, right? So that information I can query, and based on that these particular settings will get applied. Amar, is that clear?
Yes, Mona. So this is in terms of laptop and desktop. So if there is multiple query, like in America, under this particular site or an office, under that this department, and then laptop and desktop. If that's the hierarchy we are trying to standardize it.
Mm-hmm.
In that scenario, then we'll have to create multiple network settings. Like first, it checks for the region,
Yep.
then the
Yep.
location, then the office, then the department,
Mm-hmm.
and then a laptop or desktop.
Yes, yes. So, okay, to answer your question, there are two parts of it. The first part is, okay, first of all, did everyone understood what he is asking? Anil, Manju, and Sai, did you understand his question?
Uh, no, can you repeat?
Sure. So what he's trying to say is, say suppose if you have different machines, right, in your environment, and there are certain machines which belong to your US office and a US state, a US country. You have a state like in Texas, okay? So it has to identify that, okay, this machine is being used by a Texas user, right? So, and it is a desktop. So automatically this machine has to go to a OU under US Texas desktop or under US Texas laptop, right? Similarly, if the guy is from UK and he is sitting in London, right? So it has automatically understand that, okay, he is from UK under which London, and under London there is desktop or laptop. Similarly, if he is from Manchester, UK, Manchester, desktop or laptop. So his point is, how can we automate it in such a way that it identifies from which location this machine is being built, and automatically it has to go and sit under, the machine should be automatically sit under the particular OU. Right, Manju? You got the question?
Yeah, I got.
So once the machine is completely built, right, there are two ways of doing it. So typically what AD or system admins will do, once the machine is completely built, all these machines will sit under standard OU like computers. And then they will start moving all these computers to different OUs. That's the traditional way, old method, right? And why do we actually move into different OUs? Because maybe on that particular OU there are certain kind of group policies are applied, or certain kind of some settings are applied to that, right? So that whenever the machine is under particular OU, a proper configurations or proper settings are applied to them, right? That's the whole. That's the main motto. So instead of your system admins copying or moving the machines from one OU to different OUs, Amar's question is, can we make this automated in such a way that instead of system admins copy moving it, the SCM task sequence itself will add the machine to appropriate OU, right? So to answer this, so the first part is to identify the machine, to which department it belongs to which country it belongs to, right? That's the first part to it. So how do you identify it? So see, I've told this multiple times, right? Anything which can be done manually in a streamlined process, that can be automated. So if you are doing something manually, right, if you know that this is the reference point to identify uh, that this machine belongs to Germany, right? So if you don't know how to identify a location for Germany, how do you automate it, right? So typically what we do in SCCM world is we always take default gateway, right? We take default gateway of that particular machine as a reference point, right? So when you're building a machine, say suppose you have Germany office, you have Texas office, and then you have the London office, right? So in Germany office, say suppose you have a different default gateway 192.168.12.0, right? In Texas office, you have something else 10.0.1.0, something like this, and here you have 10.0.2.0. I'm just giving some figures to it. So say suppose you have different default gateways. Now what we we do it as part of SIM is you will try to query the default gateway, right? So anyways, when you're communicating to one client machine and installing all these applications, OS and everything, that means you know the IP address of that machine, client machine, you also know the default gateway of that client machine, right? So based on the default gateway, we will configure in such a way that it identifies the default gateway and it will say, okay, if it is 10.0.2.0, that means it is London office. So this is identifying part, right? Once it identifies, the second part is if DG is identified as London. If you identified that this client machine's default gateway is London, then what you wanted to do is, if you want to if you want to give the computer name as the first three characters should be LON and then the serial number, right? If it is identified as Germany, the first three characters would be GER and then the serial. So that's the computer name part. The second part is I want to add this to LON OU, right? So this way you're first taking identifying the default gateway and then using that based on the default gateway you're using the computer name as the the London as a prefix in the computer name, as well as in the OU also you'll add it to the London OU. And the second identification what you wanted to do here is if the machine is desktop, right? So you'll add it to under London OU, you will add it to some DTOU, right? So this is the logic. First of all, to understand the logic, first you are identifying you are checking for the default gateway. Then based on the default gateway, you are identifying whether it is from Germany or Texas or London. And based on that, you are prefixing the computer name, right? You are renaming the host name. And similarly, you are adding it to a particular OU. Guys, do you understand that this theoretical part, this logical part?
Yeah, we understand.
Okay. So once we know this, so how we do it is in in Sccm, see, one is to identify the machine whether it is there. You just query a WMI, right? You'll select for the chassis model. You have that, right? Select star from, I don't exactly recall, but you can also do a Google Chrome, Google or Bing check to identify how to identify a machine is a laptop or desktop. So that there is a standard WMI query, right? So you'll find the chassis model, and if the chassis is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on that, you will tell, okay, if it is 2, it is a desktop. If it is 3, those are standard notations, right? If it is a 6, it is a rack server, or it is a virtual machine. So you can tell based on that. So you'll write a query here saying that, okay, if the chassis model or chassis type is equal to 2, that means if it is a laptop. That's one condition. Now the second condition here is, you can keep on adding multiple conditions here, right? Now the second condition, what you're going to do is, you wanted to identify the whether it is belonging to London or not, right? So for that, what you will do here is, you'll check for the task sequence variable. There's something called task sequence variable. Okay, I know this is going little bit above your head for now, but since you have asked for that automated way, I'm just explaining. So later you can connect the dots. So basically what you will do here is, you'll give the variable name as location, right? And you'll say when the location equals to London, right? When the location equals to London, so it will check for the location. It says if the location equals to London, and say suppose the WMI query, I'm just writing some stupid WMI query, select star from, okay. So this is the second condition. So it will check this condition. It will say, okay, it is laptop. It will check whether it is from London or not. When these two are matching, then I'm telling that under this OU, under this properties, instead of putting it to deployed machines, it has to go to London. Right. So it will now go to London. Under London, it will copy under LTOU. Amar, is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. So basically what we are doing here is, we are creating as many conditions as we want, right? Based on the default gateway, you are identifying the location, and once the location is equal to XYZ, so based on that, and once you identify that the machine is laptop or desktop, accordingly you are renaming the, you can even rename. Here what we did was, we just added the computer to a particular OU. You can, if you want, you can even rename. So you can have it one for even Windows settings, right? Where exactly I'm doing that. I can also give the host name, and sorry, okay, that part I can use. Guys, you remember we were talking about automating few things using MDT, right? So once you have that MDT integrated, you can even use the default gateway. There is something called roles in MDT. So using that, you can also rename the computer, and also the same step what I just showed you, adding to OUs, will be much more sophisticated when you are doing it using MDT integration, right? So going back to where we were. Okay, so let me delete this. I just have one. Okay, so let's quickly go through this task sequence, what it is doing. So what it is doing is, it is first trying to capture the current machine's Windows settings, network settings, and then this is the area where it is capturing the user data. right? So try to understand this particular piece. Guys, please focus here what I'm trying to show here. So what it is doing is it is contacting a particular server. Okay, that server is state migration point. We haven't created that yet, but that server name is state migration point. Now what it is doing here is it is contacting the state migration point. It is asking it, do you have space to copy this user data? Okay, once if the state migration point says that yes, I have space, I have no issues, I have connectivity, you can start copying the data, then it will capture the user data, right? And once it captures the user data, it copies onto the state migration point, and then it will release the user state storage. So it will say that okay, I have copied it, so that's a confirmation that I have copied the content completely. So these three steps, if you try to understand, the first step is it is requesting for the user space on the state migration point, that do you have space for me to copy all this user data onto you, right? Second step, it is actually capturing and copying that user data. Third step, it is confirming that the data has been captured completely, right? So once these three steps are done, if you go down towards the end of the task sequence, right? Again, what it is doing, it is requesting for the user state storage. So it is going back to the server and says that, do you have my user data with you, right? So the server will respond back saying that, yes, I have your user data with me. Then it will start downloading and restoring it back to the end user machine. Once it downloads that data completely, it will release it saying that, okay, I'm confirming that 100% data has been copied back. Guys, do you understand these 6 steps here? These 3 here and these 3 here. Any doubts here? No questions? Okay. So I have a question here. Say suppose this machine is a bare metal machine. It does not have any user data onto it. Then what will happen in this case? Your task sequence is running, right? So it will try to copy some user data, but that's a bare metal machine you are building. So how do you, what will it do then? Anyone? Ideally it should fail, right? Because it is trying to capture user data and there is no user data, there is no operating system. It's a bare metal machine. So how will it proceed further? Ideally it should fail there. Right guys? Do you have any other solutions to this?
No, Manar, it will fail actually.
Right? Ideally it should fail. But if you remember, we are talking about conditions, right? So what will happen here is if you select this group, go to options, or if you select this individual things and go to options, wait a minute. Okay, what they did is this group is part of a bigger group, that is capture files and settings. Then it should be here, yes. So there is a condition automatically set which says the task sequence variable, this is the default task sequence variable, SMS TS in WinPE equals false. So what is WinPE guys? WinPE, the boot image, right? So what it is asking is if the task sequence is running in the boot image stage or the task sequence is running in the operating system stage. So it is checking whether the end user machine, when this task sequence is running, is it in boot image, that means bare metal, or is it in a fully running operating system? If it is in fully running operating system, right, that's when it is going to capture the user data. If it is not in fully running operating system, if it is in boot image stage, it is going to skip this entire group. You see, this is the parent group. So it is going to skip this entire group and go to the next stage. Am I clear? Guys, do you want me to explain
Yes.
again or clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you see SMS TS, that is the task sequence in WinPE. This is a built-in variable. So is in WinPE. If it is in WinPE, okay, this task sequence in WinPE, this particular variable equals to false. That means if it is not in WinPE, where is it? It is in fully running operating system. If it is in fully running operating system, that means there must have been some user data in it, right? So if it is false, that means if it is running in fully operating system and there is user data, then I'm going to capture the Windows settings, network settings, and I'm going to request the SMP for the space. I'm going to capture data and confirm it back. Say suppose if this is equal to true, that means this task sequence is currently running in a boot image stage because there is no operating system on that machine. If that is the case, then I'm going to skip this entire thing and go to the next stage, right? So similarly, if you see even in the restore part, there should be one thing here as well. Okay, I forgot to tell you. So in the restore part, what will happen here is, since it is coming at this point, particular point, right? Uh, there must be one more here. Okay, in this particular task sequence, you don't have it. Yeah. So here what they have done is, instead of having a task sequence condition here or a variable here, so what they are saying is, okay, here I know the condition that it should be in the Windows PE. If it is not in Windows PE, this is not, if it is in Windows PE, then I'm not going to capture data. That is very clear. But towards restoring data, since we cannot identify that way based on operating system or non-operating system, since we cannot identify, because by then the machine has got the operating system, right? So what they're doing here is they have a checkbox called continue on error. That means if, say suppose there is user data, restore it back. If there is no user data, don't fail, just continue on error. Even if there is an error, just continue. Don't fail the task sequence, right? So this will definitely go to state migration point at this point, and it will check, do I have my user data with you? It says no, you don't have any user data. So ideally it is supposed to fail there because you got a negative message back from the SMP, right? That is an error message, but we are saying continue on error. So we are not saying continue on error just for this particular one step. We are saying continue on error on this entire group, I guess. Yeah, so you have it on the entire group. So even if it fails here or here, it will not fail the task sequence. It will just says the task sequence is completed successfully and it will come out. Guys, is this clear? Guys, I need more participation. Is this clear? Or have any questions here? Am I on mute?
No, Manoj, but like I see, this is completely new for us. We never did it right, so for taking it as it will take some time.
Sure, sure. That's understandable. But theoretical
Yeah.
part, if you have any
Yes,
doubts,
yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Once we go through it, like even in the latter stages, then I think we can apply into the real time and we can have some doubts on better.
sure, sure. Okay, then let's proceed further. So one is the user data capture, then you have the install operating system part. Whereas in install operating system, so the first thing what it is doing is it is restarting the machine in Windows PE, right? Then the same thing what we did in build and capture. So it is going to partition your disk, right? And if you have BitLocker enabled, right, the disk encryption thing, so it is going to pre-provision it. If you don't want this particular step, you don't have TPM on your machine, you can just remove this. This is not mandatory, right? You can just remove this step. You can also remove the BitLocker. Since BitLocker is inbuilt in your Windows client operating system, that's why SM Task Sequence is providing this. But in your company, if you're not using, Microsoft's Windows BitLocker, but if you're using third-party hard disk encryption tools, like you have McAfee, you have multiple others, right? So if you're using them, you can just straight away remove this BitLocker part. So finally, this is where you are actually applying the operating system image, right? And this is the data image, right? As I told you, if you have a data disk and all, so it is going to apply the data image. And finally, the Windows settings, right? And network settings, we just talked about it. And coming to device drivers. So again, for device drivers, see in this case, my machine is a VM, but in real time, you're going to build 10 different machines with 10 different models. Something is HP, something is Dell, something is Lenovo. Within Lenovo, again, there are multiple models, right? So how are you going to apply those drivers? So we'll discuss this. Once I trigger this task sequence, I want this task sequence to run since it will take some time. Meanwhile, we can discuss about drivers and driver packages. Okay. So that's the topic we are going to discuss now. And let's proceed at this point. So this is the same client agent is installed. Again, if you have BitLocker, you're going to enable at this point, install applications, right? So again, at this point, I told about LOB applications, right? So if Adobe Reader is a kind of an application which is required by only one department, again, you go back here to your options and give a condition, right? So based on that condition, only Adobe Reader, or if you have a set of applications, so say suppose you have some 10 applications, right? You just keep on adding here all those 10 applications one after the one. So after all those 10 applications here you'll put install HR applications, right? Similarly, you will create one more, copy paste, you'll say install IT applications, right? Like this you can create multiple tasks here, right? And in each task you can have all those 10 or 15 applications required for particular department, and then in the condition you'll put add a condition to check whether the machine belongs to HR department or whether the machine belongs to IT department, right? So based on the condition, it will say suppose if the machine belongs to HR department, only this particular task will run with all these 10 applications will get installed on that machine because it is HR machine. And when it goes to the second task, it will check for the same condition. It will say, it will find that, okay, I'm a HR machine, but the condition is for IT machine. Since this is, I'm not IT machine, I'll just skip. So it will not install any application that you have under IT applications. All those, this entire task will get skipped. So that way, only a specific set of applications are installed for a specific set of group of users, right? Is that clear, guys?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
clear. So that is about application part. And finally, we discussed about the user data restore. Now what I'll do is, let me deploy this task sequence onto a collection. So first of all, I don't have a new machine, right? Let me bring up a machine. This is a target machine for us. So this machine needs to communicate with internal May. I think that's all I need for now. Install an operating system later. Okay, so this is a bare metal machine. So I'm expecting that the task sequence should just install the capture Vim file, right? And the Adobe Reader application. Apart from that, I don't have any drivers because this is a VM machine, and I don't have any user data to capture and restore. So let's trigger that now. So before I trigger that, what I have to do is go to settings, and I need to give a static IP, static MAC address. In real time, what will happen? All your laptops will have static MAC address. So you can take that MAC address and import that computers into your SCM console. And what is the other way? You don't need to say, suppose you want to build 100 machines. You don't need to always collect all the MAC address for all the 100 machines and import them into SCM console. What is the other way? The other way is simple. In SCM, when you're deploying the task sequence, right? Deploy them to browse. Deploy them to, when you're saying device collections, right? You have all unknown computers. Deploy them to all unknown computers, right? That means any computer, even if it is not known to SCM console, deploy on those. So that's how, even without importing the machine into console, you can still do that. But what is the what is the consequence, pros and cons, if you have to consider what is the con side of this? Say suppose tomorrow somebody, some vendor or some third party guy comes to your office. Okay, he connects his machine to the corporate network, right? To SSM, he is an unknown computer, and by mistake, there are chances that he boots into his machine. He just starts his machine, and his machine will identify that there is a boot image, there's a deployment task sequence on it, and the machine might get deployed with your corporate image. but that was not his intention. He just connected to your corporate network for some internet purpose, and he want to display something to you, or right, he wants to just work in your environment. So he came with his laptop and he connected, and his machine got rebuilt. Right? That's a concept of it. But then there are other ways, as we discussed. You can have a pixie password set there, and you can have the flag will be there, and also you can even have some conditions in your task sequence. Before starting the task sequence, you can have conditions on it. Or what you can also do is you can always give these third-party vendors an isolated network, right? Or else you can build your machines only in an isolated network. There are multiple ways. Even if you're giving all unknown computers here, you can define in such a way that any machine which is connected to only these plug points, only these switches, right? Only at these switches, when they're connecting from this IP address to this IP address, only then the machine needs to be built. In other IP address, the machine should not be built, right? If you create something like that, then yes, even if you put here all unknown computers, that is not going to harm you, right, guys? So in this case, either I can go with all unknown computers, or else if I want to show you how you can add one machine, specifically one machine into the environment, you go to the settings for this one. Let me create a legacy network adapter, internal may. So in the settings of this legacy network adapter, you have this static. You remember last time we gave one MAC address, right? Similarly, you can give one more D012 0F0300. But then let me note it down somewhere. D02. Guys, I hope you are able to follow why I'm doing this. Okay, so apply. Okay, now I have the MAC address. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to my SCM console, go to assets and compliance, devices. I'm importing this computer now. Import a single computer, call it target Win7. Did I not copy here? Okay, no issues. D012-0F030001. Add it to all systems collection. Next, close. So now I have imported it. I should find it under all systems collection. Currently all system has only 7. I don't have that here. So let me update membership. By default it will take 5 minutes for the Delta membership, right? Incremental thing. Or else it will take once in 7 days for full collection membership. So I've done this. Refresh. Right, you have the target machine now here, and now I'm going to create a new collection for all deployments. Earlier I created one collection for build and capture task sequence, BC Win7 collection, right? This time I'm creating a collection for deployments. So any machine which is added to this particular collection, all of them will be deployed to Windows 7, right? So I'm creating a collection called Win7 deploy. Limiting collection would be all systems. Next, add rule. I can directly add the computer name here. I know the computer name is something like target percentage. There you go. So where's my collection? This is the one. And do you have any computers? Right now none. So let me update membership. Okay, now you have your collection ready. So now what I'm supposed to do, I go to my deployment task sequence and deploy it to this collection. Deploy, you know this, right? We have already discussed about this warning. Because it's a high risk deployment, it is just giving a warning and it will not show you all systems, right? So that to avoid um, any issues, it is not giving you the default all systems. By default, if you click on all systems, this high risk deployment will go to all the machines. To avoid this, it is not even showing you all system collection here. So what you can select here is collection win7 deploy. Next, and this part is same. You can make it required or available. So last time we made it required, right? Build and capture. So if you want, you can even make it available so that it will show you the task sequence there, and then you can select the task sequence. So either required or available, and then only configuration manager clients. So you remember this was a mistake we did earlier. So now I'm saying configuration manager clients, media and pixie, wherever it is, whether the machine is coming from a client, the task sequence is coming from a client agent, or it is coming in the media in the form of USB, CD DVD, or if it is coming from PXE boot, wherever it is coming, just go ahead and install starting from now and as soon as possible. All these steps you already know, so I'm not repeating them again. Okay, so everything is set. Now let's trigger this machine. Hopefully it should start. Connecting the DHCP. It got the IP address. Pixie aborted. So let me go to the client machine. So last time also we did this, right? We did the troubleshooting. So let me see on this target machine. Do you have any deployments? Yes, I have this deployment here. So where do you check? So last time I showed you to check under SMS Pixie log file, right? Let's go there and check. See program files, configuration manager, logs, SMS Pixie. So what did it say? Okay, it got the request 3C531BFF0001 and it says no advertisements found. You remember guys, last time also we got the same error. So what did we do? Wait a minute. But this is a different machine. 3C531BFF. Okay, sorry. What we did, we just started reference machine. That's what it says. This particular machine do not have any advertisement, but that's not the machine we wanted to start, right? This is 3C. Our machine is D0120F. So what I did, by mistake, I've started this machine. Let me turn it off. Let me turn on this machine, start. So this one should find connecting to DHCP. Okay, so it found that it is a x64. It is contacting the Sccm Pixie server, the distribution point. Now it will download the boot image. Okay, there you go, pixieboot.n12. So it will download it. Alright guys, so by now you're clear initiating the task sequence on the client machine, right? Any questions in initiating task sequences on the client machines?
Manor, if this get disconnected in the middle,
Mhm.
so will it start from the starting?
It will fail. The task sequence will fail. and you need to rebuild it.
Okay.
The task sequence will not resume from where it stopped. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of noise from your end.
Yeah, after 7, I guess here there will be, in my house there will be a little network going on.
No. I'm getting some kind of noise from kind of in. I can't describe it, but that kind of robotic sound or some kind of a different sound. Okay, but okay, coming to your point, Sai. So what will happen is while the task sequence is running, even if it is in user data capture or if it is in the deploying an application OS or installing an application, if that's the stage it fails, at any stage it fails, it is going to the task sequence is going to fail, and next time when you restart it, right, it will just give you the same error code saying that at so and so point I failed to download an application or failed to install an application. And most of them is downloading an application, not installing, because it would have already downloaded locally, and since it has already downloaded locally, the network network outage doesn't matter. But it is not downloading all the applications and all the all the softwares well in advance. It is downloading locally only when it is required. So if you see this particular task sequence deployment, this is an interesting question. Where is the deployment? Software library. This deployment task sequence deployment. If you go to the deployment properties, yeah, this point. So you have an option here, download content locally when needed by running task sequence, right? So when this is selected, and if the task sequence, if there is a network outage, it will fail because it cannot download the other content, and it just downloaded till the previous step, and that previous step it has installed, completed, and there is no network, so it cannot download the next step, the content required for to run the next step, right? Because it says download content locally only when the task sequence require it, right? If you select the other one, actually, okay, it is not giving me the other one here. Okay, ideally you'll have one more option here. That option would say that download content um, even before running the task sequence, okay. So when you select that, download the content before running the task sequence, what will happen is it will download all the content before, whether it is required by the task sequence or not. It will download everything which is referred in the task sequence, right, and then proceed with the task sequence installation, which will create a big a big mess. Why? Because for example, you remember my our task sequence wherein we talked about having HP drivers, Dell drivers, different model drivers, right? Similarly, we talked about having different HR applications, IT applications, and all that. But our task sequence, if it is HR machine, it requires only HR applications. So while running the task sequence, it will evaluate the condition, and accordingly only those applications will be downloaded and installed, right?
Manoj, Manoj,
Yeah, Manju.
your voice was keep on breaking. So we lost the flow for the conversation.
Oh, is it? Okay. So, okay. So what I was telling here is, so when you're trying to, there are two ways here. One is download content locally when needed by running task sequence, or download content before running the task sequence. These are the two options. Okay. So if you're selecting download content locally when the task sequence requires it, so what will happen is it will evaluate that particular condition, like HR applications. It will evaluate whether HR applications are required or IT applications are required for this machine. When it identifies that HR applications are only required and not IT applications, only HR applications will be downloaded and installed, right? This way, only that is required is being downloaded onto the local machine and being installed. But the problem with this particular route is, if there is a network outage between while downloading and installing, it will fail. You have to rerun the task sequence again from the beginning. Whereas if you're going to the second option, download content before running the task sequence, it will download everything first, and it will start installing. So even while installing, if there is any network outage, still the task sequence will not fail because everything has been already downloaded. So it will run successfully, right guys? But the problem here is whether it will not evaluate whether the IT application are required or HR application are required for that machine. It will start downloading every application onto that machine, right? And but during running the task sequence, it will evaluate and it will install only HR related. But unnecessarily, it will download even IT applications. It will download all different HP, Dell, Lenovo, every driver. That's the reason you don't go with the other option. Is it clear, Sai?
Yeah,
Okay.
just need to check this.
But the default option is this, buddy. You always go with download content locally when needed by the running task sequence. That's the best approach. Okay, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Target machine. I think this is the password is Pixie password is 123. Next. Retrieving policy, it found that there is a Win7 deployment task sequence target to it. Next, it is checking for the dependencies. Oh yeah. So it says cannot be run because cannot be located on a distribution point. It says, see, I told you right, while running the task sequence, it will check for the dependencies. If all the packages that are referred in the task sequence are available on the distribution point or not. It says May001 is not available on distribution point. Let's see what is May001. Go to packages. I guess May001 is your USMT, right? It says this package, right? It is not targeted to any DB. That is the reason it failed. So let me distribute the content. So next, add. While it is getting distributed, let's rerun this. Okay, it aborted, and we know why it aborts because you'll have that flag there, right? The other day we discussed about the flag. So there is this flag on this machine which says already Pixie has been done. So click on clear required Pixie deployments. Yeah, clear that. Go back to the Windows 10 machine, rerun it. Okay, so let it download the files, and this time it should not fail at USMT because we have copied it. Guys, any questions?
No,
Okay, Manju. So, yeah.
I have a question, but not I cannot be able to ask because I have to write it. And,
Go ahead and ask. Well, let's see if I can answer it.
no, like I'm not having any clarity to what. How should I ask? What should I ask? So I'll just try it. Then I may able to get some clarity. I have a
Hmm. Okay, okay, no issues. So, so meanwhile, let me show you, since it is building up this machine, let me show you the other day, the build and capture task sequence, what we did. How can you monitor it from the reports? So when you go to reports, right? Either you can go see the reports from the console or you can look it from the web browser, right? So if you want to look it from the web browser, you'll click here. I guess it opened twice. happened? Did you close both of them? So task sequence next.
So this Windows what page I see booting up from the Windows, the background screen will be like this only, is it? All the time by default.
Uh,
System Center Configuration Manager will be displays there. It will be like this only, right? Whenever any boot
if
from
you
the Windows.
no, if you want, you can change it. So it is not mandatory that you have to have it in a similar way. So suppose if in your company you don't want this Microsoft logo or System Center Configuration Manager, if you want it to your own company name, then you can have it there.
Yeah, because in some previous organization I saw that it is something in my other company. So it was something. The background was different when I was just having the communication with them and just connecting with them. Then automatically network boot will happen because background image will be different. So thought how it will be. Just maybe you can.
Sure, sure. I got your point. So what you'll do in the boot image, so basically it is the boot image, right? So when you go to the boot image, my machine is a little bit slow today. Okay, and WinPE background, specify the custom background image file, right? So this is where you enable this and browse and give a path for a wallpaper, right? So that wallpaper will come there. It's just a wallpaper. If you create a different BMP file or JPEG file here, if you select that, so that will come there. So that is coming from the here. Is it clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the task sequence. Okay. Anyways, it is applying the operating system now. So it has proceeded further. So earlier it failed because of the USMT package, right? Clear. And let's see the reports. So if you when you go to the reporting part, click on the configuration main. Let me see if I can stop any one machine. Looks like my machine. Okay, I can stop this one, right? And under this, you're going to your task sequence deployments. You have deployment status. Since we have SQL on the same box, reporting service point on the same box, right? Site server on the same box. So that's the reason it is a little bit slow. Okay. And status of a specific task sequence deployment for a specific computer. Okay. Click this. There are multiple. You can even go for a history of a task sequence deployment on a computer. Even this will give you all the history, how many task sequence ran and what and all happened. So in this case, I'll select status of a specific task sequence deployment. These OSD classes will be more of practical and less of theory topics. So let's see. So I just wanted to show you how do you see from the reports when the task sequence is running. So what exactly happening on that machine? Since see here I have my virtual machine in front of my eyes, so I know what is the step which is currently running. But when you're building 100 machines across the globe, right? So how do you see what is running on that particular machine and what's happening on that? Is it fail? Did it fail? If it failed, at what stage it failed, right? So if you want to look at that, so the only thing you can do is go through the reports sitting from one location.
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
Hello?
Let me just show this report. So I'm selecting
Yeah,
here. I'm selecting the the deployment, which is build and capture, which we ran yesterday. So build and capture we ran on a build and capture collection. So that's the deployment, and the computer name. Um, I guess it is reference machine, right? Or what's the machine name? Is it Win7 PC hyphen PC? I don't know if the machine name is Win7 PC or not. Let's see. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
if you said that there will be failure at the stage, yes, I observed that it will be getting fail when network when it is getting boot. Sometime like at 11 stage, sometime like 18 stage. So how that we will be able to analyze and troubleshoot if it is failing in any stages. That will have any
So,
reference that these stages are met.
so from where are you checking that it failed at a particular stage? So you're going to check it from the report. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if you want to find it out where it is failing and what purpose, so that
Mhm.
for overall are related to troubleshooting the part.
Sure, sure. So that's what I'm showing here. So I have this build and capture task sequence, okay, and I'm checking what happened on reference underscore Win7 machine, okay. So when I click on this particular computer name, so it will show me all the different steps which ran on that machine. And if you remember, it failed. Initially, it failed as well, right? So let's see. So it should show that as well. So it is saying on 27th May. So it first ran this particular last group. The group name is build the reference machine, right? It restarted the machine into Windows PE, okay, and then it had partitioned the disk. And if you remember, after partitioning the disk, it failed at apply operating system. You remember, guys, because I have not given network access account. So it is saying apply operating system. It failed with this particular error code. So it also gives you the task sequence execution engine failed executing an action, right? So if you go and look at here, it is giving you the result, like it failed to contact this, that and all. But we know it failed because of network access account, right? So typically what will happen if it is due to some kind of, um, is due to some kind of it is not able to download or something, you can always check with this particular return code what you get here or the return code what you get here. When you check with this, when you Google it or Bing it, so you will find out that okay, it is failing because of so and so reason. So if you click, so when you're giving when you're searching it, don't just search with that particular error code. Search in a proper way that okay, it has failed at apply operating system group with this particular error code. Then you'll get results saying that okay, network access account must have been missed out because it is failing at apply operating system group with this, or apply operating system task with this. That's how you check it. Okay. Similarly, after that, what we did, we reran it. So since we reran it, again it is showing from build the reference machine, restart into Windows PE. So all this ran on the same day. Again, we ran at 2:29 a.m. That's the server time, right? So it restarted partition disk, and this time it has applied operating system successfully because we fixed the network access account. So what happened after that? Applying the operating system, apply Windows settings, apply network settings, device drivers. Since we don't have device drivers, it just skip that part, or the VMware drivers are installed. Set up Windows and configuration manager. This is the client agent, right? So next page. Okay, and after that, install applications. As part of install applications, Google Chrome, right? This is what installed. Google Chrome is installed. So initially it says, so what happened here is the task sequence executed engine failed to install because that was specified in the install application actually. Acha, Google Chrome failed on that machine, it seems. We never checked that machine, right? So it says Google Chrome failed on that machine 617. Okay, and after that, since we have continue on error, it has continued on error, right? And it started with build the reference machine. I mean to say capture the reference machine. That's the next group. So as part of capture the reference machine, it has prepared the configuration manager client, and it will capture. It has started capturing the reference machine. This is the next step, right, guys? So this step completed at 3:59 a.m. So it started at 2:29 as per the server time and finished at 3:59. So that's like 1.5 hours to build the machine and to capture the image. So now it has failed at this particular stage, which is 617, but it proceeded further because I guess we have a continue on error there. So if you go back to build and capture task sequence, software library, task sequence. Sorry, I should have clicked on edit, not on properties. I see Anil and Ahmad dropping off. So install applications, we have Google Chrome here, and in options, retry this step if computer unexpectedly restarts. And yeah, if an application installation fails, continue installing the other applications on the list, right? So that's the reason it proceeded further, and it did not halt at that stage. But I need to see why Google Chrome failed. I wasn't aware that Google Chrome failed on that until unless I saw this report today. Okay, we'll check it a little later once it proceeds with this particular machine. Okay, on this it is applying this image. So what we can do is, even while it is running this task sequence, you can check the same thing. Go to status of a specific task sequence deployment in real time. So as and when a particular group is completed, it will update the management point, as well as you'll have the information in your DP or DB database. So let me select Windows 7 deployment task sequence, and the computer name is target Win7. View report. So what happened on this machine? So capture files and settings. So here if you can see this thing, it says the task sequence execution engine skipped a group because the condition was evaluated to be false. You remember I told you, if it identifies that this machine is running from bare metal and there is no operating system, there is no point of capturing user data, then it will check for the condition, it will skip, right? So that's what happened. It checked for the condition and it skipped the group. Since it skipped the group directly from task 1, it skipped to task 11. So in between all the steps got skipped. Anything which related to user data capture, that is expected, right? So it proceeded with installing operating system group. In that, the first step is restarting the Windows PE, partitioning disk, pre-provision BitLocker. So that's the information it has till now. Let me refresh and see if it has updated anything more. No, till now that's the information it has. So because as I told you, as and when a group is completed, it will give that information. So in this case, what happened? while applying the data image, right, to F drive, while applying the data image, that's when it failed. So just, and it's very clear because it failed because it captured the F drive on that machine. Maybe F drive is a CD DVD drive, right? That's what has been captured while capturing, and you're trying to apply that CD DVD image, data image on this machine where you don't have additional drive, you don't have an F drive here. So it makes sense why it failed on this machine. But just to show you that error, if I click here, restart now, close it and refresh it, here it should update now. It might take a little bit of time, but yeah, it will take little, yeah, it has already updated here. It says the task sequence execution engine failed execution of a task sequence. So the entire task sequence failed. But once the machine restarts, right, after some 5 minutes, you'll get a detailed report here. Instead of just saying failed execution of task sequence, it will give you much more details, right? It failed at applying data image, or it failed at so and so stage. You'll get much more details here after 5 minutes. Guys, are you able to follow me, Manju and Sai?
Yeah.
Coming.
Any questions, Sai?
Noted.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm. Ask Manju.
What if now we know this machine? What if we don't know the machine, which one it is, which is getting fail over the network? Since it is booting, since it's already in the failure mode, and since it doesn't have any OS there, so we don't know what machine it is, what is the Mac, since it's not having any failed metal machine. How we will find those failed machine, where it is failing, what from the report?
Got your question. So here what you can do is, instead of giving, see, the report that we are running is status of a specific task sequence for a specific computer. Instead of that, you can run task sequence deployment on an unknown destination computer if you don't know it, or you can status summary of a specific task. Instead of a specific machine, what I'll do if I run this, I'm just selecting the deployment. I'm not selecting the machine. So then it will show me how many machines are running with this. For example, if I select this and say view report, it will give me the computer name and what is the stage. So it says running. One machine is running, right? So as I told you, it still don't know that it has been failed. It will take a little bit of time, like 5 minutes, and then you will get to know. So in real time, what will happen if some 100 machines are running, and out of which 90 machines are successful, so it will 90 machines will go to successful node. You will get one more line item here saying successful 90 machines, and then you get failed 2 machines, and you'll get another 10 machines which are still running, 8 machines still running. So like that you'll have that, and when you click on running or failed or completed, you'll get to see the computer name. For example, in this case, running, it says when I click here, it will take me to the computer which is still running the task sequence. So it says this particular is running, and this is the stage where it is. It is a pre-provision plate logger. After some time, once the management point knows that it has completely failed, instead of putting it in running stage, it will put it in failed. So this way, though you don't know the computer name, you can just click on this report. You can just click on this report, which will show you. See, for example, if I click on build and capture, since it is not running now, it has completed, right? So if you run and view report, here it says succeeded. One computer succeeded, right? If I would have run this on 10 machines, and out of which if one is failed, it would have shown like succeeded 9, failed 1, and if it is one is running, it would have shown running 1. And when you click there, it will show you the exact computer name and at what stage it is. Clear, Manju?
Yes, no.
Okay. So in this case, since we know the issue, we can fix it now. So first of all, let me check the if it is showing us failed or not. Did it identify? Yes. See, earlier it was telling it as running, right? Now it is saying as failed. I told you it will take some 5 minutes. So when you click here, failed, and target Win7 failed, it should give more data now. See, now we have more data. It says while applying data image 1, it failed, and This is error code, and then you have a different H result. Earlier it was 70002. This time it is 70070. So you can check with apply data image, and this is what the error code. So you'll get to know. But since we already know, the issue is because of we are trying to install different F disk. So not only just C drive, we are trying to apply F drive and all that. So it has also kind of given a explanation here. What it says is there is not enough space on the disk, right? So that's the explanation here it has given. So what we'll do, instead of in the task sequence, we'll go back, edit. We'll tell it we don't need the data images. We just need the operating system image itself. Right? I just need the operating system image. I don't need the 1 and 3. Right guys? Say apply. Okay. And this time if you rerun the task sequence, it will run fine. So before that, what I am supposed to do, every time I want to rerun, I have to note the reference machine. Where is the deploy machine? Okay. I have to right click and clear the flag, pixie flag. Clear flag. It's cleared. Now go to that machine, target machine. So it failed in between, right? So it is showing only the OS. It failed in between. So Control Alt Delete or just turn it. Okay, it's taking the first boot device as OS because OS is installed, right? So let me change that. First boot device is network adapter. Okay, so I'll keep this recording running so that tomorrow you'll have this machine built. But the only thing is we need to check why Google Chrome failed, right? So that's one thing what we need to check. And meanwhile, I told you I'll explain about the um, drivers and driver packages. So guys, do you have time for me to continue on the drivers part, or you want me to tell it in tomorrow's session? Manju and Sai.
Tomorrow session, please.
Okay, Sai. Fine, no issues. So I'll keep this recording on. So if you have anything to see, so you can see it from here.
Or,
Yeah, Manju.
uh, so, uh,
So Sai, feel free
when
to drop off. If you don't have any questions, Sai, please feel free to drop.
I have a question, but not related to this. That's related to software deployment.
Sure, I'll answer that. So let me take from Manju first. Yeah, Manju, go ahead.
it's not get this question. So for when this all class will get over,
When this?
because when the class is getting over, because only
See,
today is
today is day 15 for us, I guess. Day 15 or day 16 for us. So total 24, right? So we have another nine more days.
okay. Because as I told you yesterday that I'm traveling, so I'll try to take it from there. Maybe I'll not be asking maybe much, but I'll try to take it from there. And whichever I'm feeling, and I'll follow with the videos and then I'll ask.
Sure, sure, sure. No issues. See, the only benefit in these classes is always you have videos, right? Even if you're not able to hear the complete class or you're going on a vacation, you can still go back and look at these videos, right? So don't worry. Even if you're going somewhere, I'll keep recording and I'll keep sharing those videos with you. You look at the videos, and if you still have any questions, come back to me.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Share my
Sure. And I'm also planning for, since we have missed, see, actually, if you go with the date when we started these sessions, it was supposed to complete by third, I think by this weekend, we are supposed to complete it uh, this weekend or maybe probably next week starting. But what happened was in between there were a couple of sessions where you guys missed, and there are a couple of sessions that I've missed, right? So it got extended.
yeah,
So if you want to cover it up, what I can do is I can on a Saturday or Sunday, maybe if you're okay, I can take a couple of hours on Sunday, or maybe on Saturday we can make it instead of 2 hours, we can make it 4 hours, and try to close this at the earliest. Otherwise, if you're fine, I can continue it till 8th or 9th of June and close it. So it's totally your call, guys.
uh, let it be go as how it is running now, because since now everything is important now, so overloading should not be. So,
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Okay, yeah. Sai, go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
I've
You
tried
want me to
this
stop recording or
today.
not required, right? No need to stop
Yeah,
recording.
yes, yeah.
Go ahead.
I could see the software has been available in the client machine in software center.
Mm-hmm.
So when I click that and try to install it, it says it fails actually. And also I can only use the distribution point only once. I mean, if I have created two applications, for only one I can use the distribution point. The second one, it's not showing me the distributed point to deploy the software.
Really? Only one application is showing you distribution point and the second one it is not?
Yes, with
No, maybe that application is already distributed, buddy. See, what happens is if you go to my sim console, I'll show you. I think maybe it is already distributed. For example, if I go here, software library, and if I go to any one of the apps that we created, today my server is too slow. So ideally what happens once if the application is already distributed, next time when you're trying to right click and say distribute, it will not show you that because it has been already distributed to your DP. It will only show you those DPs where it is not distributed. Maybe that's the reason. Do you have the console?
yes, I need to check.
Do you have the console open with you right now?
No, actually,
Okay. And you are saying it is failing, right? So when you are saying it failed, have you checked the DTS log, then the CTM log, and is it an application or package?
package.
So if it is package, have you checked the axccmgr.log file and see what is the error
Yeah,
there?
it says content downloaded.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it says. I guess. Yeah, I remember I could see that the content was downloaded.
So were you able to see it under the CCM cache folder?
Only a folder was created. Number one, it says number one. That's it.
And there's no content inside it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that means the content is not downloaded. It is just a folder is created, but the content is not downloaded. Since the content is not downloaded, it failed, right? It cannot install
Yes.
without content. If the content itself is not there, it fails. So to me, it looks like there is some issue while distributing it. When you try to distribute it, so do you have the distribution point on the same server or on a different server?
Same server.
Okay, and do you see the application in green? When you go to the content status, do you see it is in green or is it in red or still in progress or something like that? Have you checked that?
Yes, but some,
See,
I'll check it, Manoj.
sure,
I
sure,
will check it because
no
for
issues,
me it takes some time to switch on the server. So
no
it's
problem,
little
no
slow.
problem, no problem. So what I'm trying to tell you is, see, Google Chrome, if I now go to distribute content, right? Say next, wait a minute. So even my server is too slow today. I don't know the reason though. Okay, so say next, when I want to add to a distribution point, it will not show me any DP here because I just have one DP and this application is already distributed to that DP,
Okay.
right? Maybe in your case also it is not showing you any DP here because it is already distributed. So what I wanted you to do is uh, click on that application and go to content status and see to which DP it has been distributed, right? And wait a minute. Yeah, ideally it should show you even if you are trying to redistribute the content. It is not showing you, is it not showing you the DP at all?
No, first time when I have deployed an application, I could see it. Sorry, a package I could see it, but the second time what I did is change the name and I tried to install another package.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, okay. I got your point. So I'm showing you a different thing. Sorry. So add distribution points. Yeah, since you don't have an update distribution for applications, so that's the reason it is showing you here because you don't have an update distribution. Update to the update content to DP is not available in applications. That's the reason every time it will show you, though it is already distributed, to redistribute it, it will show you here. It makes sense. But when you go to an package, okay, and if I want to distribute content, second time, see, Adobe Reader is already distributed. Second time when I'm trying to distribute, they should not show me the DP again. Yeah, so it says there are no items to show in this view because a package once distributed, it will not show you the DP again. If you want to make any changes to it, all you need to do is, since the DP is already selected, you need to do update distribution point.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah, man.
If you have made some changes to it, to the content, click update distribution point. uh, if you click on distribute content, you cannot see the DP. And one more thing, what I'm saying is go to the content status. So when you're seeing here the application, go to the content status and see if it is in green or yellow or red. If it is distributed properly, then on the client machine, just check for that DTS log file and CTM log file. And so do you see a DTS job, and with respect to it, if you are seeing that CTM job and it downloading or it is pending, check that first.
Okay.
Okay. So or if you're still not able to figure it out, let me know your TeamViewer ID. I can access from here and see what exactly is happening on your machine. Okay, fine, buddy. Any other questions?
Nothing, man. That's it.
Fine then. So we'll catch up tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll take you through the OSD part. And by day after tomorrow, I guess we'll close OSD completely, right? And starting from Monday onwards, we have patch management, some 2-3 sessions on patch management, and we'll have one session on software metering and on compliance management one session, right? So that makes like some 6-7 sessions are completed. So the last two sessions or last one session, as I promised, I'll talk to you on the some of the interview questions or some of the the real-time scenarios or um, last day or what and all you want, quick reference Excel sheet, right? So all that summarization will happen on the last ninth day. Okay, guys. So that's only pending. Patch management is pending. Your compliance is pending, and a little bit of OSD will be completed by this weekend. Finally, I'll have session on interview questions or certification questions. Fine. Take care, buddy. See you tomorrow. Bye.
But
Okay, I see guys have dropped, so I'm continuing this recording, which will finish the deployment task sequence. So while I'm doing this, let me check what happened with Google Chrome. So where's Google Chrome? Miscellaneous applications, Google Chrome. This one failed with 617, right? So first of all, we have selected allow this application to be installed from install application task sequence action without being deployed. Okay, this is correct. This is how it should be. Deployment types, edit. I guess we have the user experience. User experience is clear. Install for system whether or not a user is logged on. I don't have any issues with there. Requirements is okay. Programs, you have quite installation, so that shouldn't be an issue. It is already there on my Sccm. Supersedence is not there. Let me check supersedence once more. Yeah, supersedence is not there. There are no applicants that depend on this application. There's nothing that supersedes. There are no virtual environments. Fine. So then what is that is causing an issue? I guess it is because of the deployments. Yeah. So we have distributed this to all users. I guess this is playing the doing the foul play. Since this application is deployed onto application catalog, maybe that could be one reason why it failed. Then even this will fail, right? So is here what I'll do, since it did not reach till install applications, let me delete this so that at least let me see if it has already reached there. Okay, it just restarted the machine. Probably after installing OS, it just restarted the machine. If you check the log file report, refresh it. So it is Win7 deployments, view report. So this is running, this machine is running. Target Win7. So what happened on this machine? Initially it failed, right? It failed at applying data image. This is where it failed. So after that what we did, we restarted the machine again. So as you can see, again it started with capture files and settings, restart in Windows PE, right? So it says successfully completed an action. That means it is referring to your OS installation. So if you go to the next page, a system reboot is initiated. This is where it is. So it did not reach till Adobe Reader application installation. Let me refresh, and also we can check on the client machine. Right, so it has just rebooted the machine after installing OS, so it is preparing the installing the devices, and this is where it will also join the machine to the domain, right, to the respective OU. So we can even see that part here. So while it is doing that, what I'll do is I'll also remove the other deployment for application catalog on Google Chrome, right? And Adobe Reader, let me see if everything else is set properly, otherwise again this will fail. Okay, allow this application, this is one thing which is mandatory. I guess even this application might fail because of the dummy detection logic what we gave there. Let me see if I can change the detection logic real quick. Wait a minute, did I give any supersedence? Luckily no, only the deployment type, edit. Content is fine. Programs, installation is okay, detection method, okay. So that day I gave a detection method which will check if it is equals to 1 or not. Let me check what will be the default value. Though it is dummy, at least if it is true, then our application will run. No, the problem here is even if it is true, right? So it will check the application has that registry equals to 1, and it will skip installing Adobe Reader thinking that the application is already installed. So anyways, that's not a proper detection method. Let's change the detection method if possible. Let me remove this detection logic altogether. Delete, add, and unfortunately my other machine is switched off where I have Adobe Reader. Let me quickly start this and see if I can make some difference here. I should do it real quick because my target machine is already proceeding with Sccm client installation. Now it might start installing Adobe Reader and it might fail there. So before it fails, I have to change the detection method here. And in order to change the detection method, what I'm trying to do here is on this reference Windows 7 machine, I know Adobe Reader is installed already so that I can give that exe as a file check. That would be the proper detection method, right? Come on. Oh no, I don't have it on reference machine. That's my bad again. I have it on my test 01. May test 01. Start. I think by the time I do all the starts and stops, this will trigger the. It is already installing Sccm client agent. Okay, Control Alt Delete, make it real fast. Okay, so this machine is up. Let me quickly go to my Sccm console and connect to may underscore test 01. Connect. Hopefully it connects quickly. Unable to connect. What's the name of the computer, man? May underscore test 01. Blah 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 blah. CMD host name. May test 01. Okay, there is no hyphen between there. Connect. Okay. See program files. Where is Adobe Reader? Okay, it's x86. Adobe Reader. Reader. Come on. This is the exe, right? So that is my detection method. I don't know if it has already started, triggered on the other machine. Okay, so let me go back and see on target machine what's going on. Lucky me, it is still installing the same client agent. I think by then they should get updated. See, now I've made change to the Adobe Reader application deployment type. So what is it under the deployment type? I've made the change for detection method. And what is that change? So this time I gave a legitimate correct detection method. So I'm saying go ahead and check under C program files x86 Adobe folder reader if there is acro reader 32.exe. If that exe is there, consider that the application is installed. If it is not there, install the application, and after that again go ahead and check there. If the exe is there, the application is installed successfully. Now it makes a perfect detection method, right? So now when my task sequence goes to Acrobat Reader application installation stage, it will check for the detection method and accordingly it will take the appropriate action. So I'm assuming that this time it should not fail at Acrobat Reader and it should proceed further. It should install Acrobat Reader, right? So before the task sequence comes to that stage, because I know the steps in the task sequence, right? We just looked at it. We know first is the user data capturing, then the installing operating system, then there is a client agent station, then you have your actual install applications, right? So I'm hoping that since the task sequence did not reach till that stage and before that we have fixed it, it should not throw any error. Now, the change what I made here, is it a content change? Did I make any change in the content? No, I have not changed any content. Means backend files have not changed the Acrobat Reader setup.exe or anything, right? Since it is just a console change, detection method is a console change. It is not a backend content change. You don't need to update the content to distribution points because the content which is there will still remain the same. You have not made any changes there. So any change that you did on console with respect to some checkbox or detection method or anything as such, no need to update it to distribution point. This holds good even for applications or packages or anything else, operating system image drivers or anything. Only if you're making change to the backend content, only then you need to update to the distribution point. Because since you made change to the source, that should be replicated to the DPs. But if you're making a change on the application from the console point of view, like this is how SCM needs to detect it, this is how there is a supersedence, this is a requirement. So all those are not content changes. The content, it still has to run the same setup.exe or the same MSI. That is not changed, right? Only when the MSI or the EXEs which it has to trigger, if that is changed, only then you'll update new content to the distribution points. Okay, going back to our task sequence, let's see what's happening. Okay, it failed. So it failed at what stage? Enable BitLocker, right? So it will fail because this machine does not have a TPM, right? So ideally we don't need, TPM is trusted platform module, which is a chip, and that is required to enable BitLocker, right? So if you want to do your hard disk encryption, that is required. So this is clearly evident that it will fail. What I should have ideally done, at least for the lab purpose, I should have removed that. So let's do that now. go to task sequence, edit. You don't need anything which is related to BitLocker. Disable BitLocker, delete. Pre-provision BitLocker, delete. Enable BitLocker, delete. You don't need BitLocker anywhere, right? Let me also do one thing. Since Google Chrome, I have removed that application catalog thing. Let me also include here and see if Google Chrome gets installed. Guys, you know, if you're following my video, you know that Google Chrome was not captured as part of the initial image. That's what it says. It failed with 617 error. So I'm selecting Google Chrome here. So I'm installing both Google Chrome and Adobe Reader as part of deployment task sequence. Right? Let's see what will happen. If it fails, it fails. But that's what we wanted to see. What will happen? Right? Okay. Now the task sequence is updated. So before I run the machine, every time what I need to do, go to assets and compliance, target machine, clear the flag. Flag cleared. Go back to your target machine and turn it off and run again. Okay. So I think this time I've taken care of applications. I've taken care of BitLocker has been removed. So what we can do is I'll just trigger the task sequence and I'll walk away from my desk. I'll just keep the recording on for your reference point of view, but I don't think there's nothing I need to comment about. Target mission is running, Sccm is running, that's fine. So while this is still running, let me go to my Sccm. Okay. I was thinking if on the yesterday's reference machine, shall we start it and see if Google Chrome is really installed or failed? And also if we can check the actual execmgr log file on that client machine or the app enforce, if it is an application app enforce log on the client machine to see what exactly failed it, right? To find the root cause. We can do that meanwhile, right? So let me start this task sequence on the other machine. Where is it? This machine, provide 123 as the PXE password. Okay, so this is triggered, let it go. Meanwhile, we'll go to this machine, see why Google Chrome failed. First of all, let's check if really Google Chrome failed or not. Sometimes even the error code says 617. We need to make sure that it really failed. P system URL. Okay, so looks like Google Chrome really failed because I don't see it on my screen. Yep, there's no Google Chrome, so it failed. Now, typically, how do you test? See, we already have our report. So our report clearly says it failed at Google Chrome. However, it proceeded further, and the error code is 617. But you really want to know what exactly happened, right? When you go to the computer and go to your C drive, Windows, CCM, logs. So here there are two things. One is the SMSTS log file. So, right, so this log file is one thing. So okay, first of all, it will open a notepad. So you wanted to have CM trace. Let's do that first. Double click may SCM C dollar, not C dollar. What's that? SMS underscore may. It might ask for user credentials because this machine is on work group. Ideally, it should ask for. Let me see if I can copy it from here since it is taking some time. Configuration manager, tools, CM trace, copy. I don't know if I can do it. Let me try it. No, I can't. What's the IP address of this machine? CMD. Okay, wait a minute. I got this prompt luckily, and it's going to be mailab.com slash administrator. Yep, it opens. Tools, CM trace. See, anyways, it is recording, right? Anyways, we have to keep the recording on for um, the deployment task sequence to complete. So I thought just to make use of some time. Close. And now if I open SMS task sequence, so this is one log for the first log file that I open, SMSTS. Now let me close other things to speed up the process. Okay, so where did it fail? So actually it failed at Okay, so applying Windows settings happened. After that, I can see network settings, applying network settings here, right? Parsing step node 5, and then applying device drivers happened, and after that, set up Windows and configuration manager, install applications, continue. So this one, no condition is yes, there's no condition, and it should find here that Google Chrome should be installed. Okay, action command line install. This is what it is supposed to do. Capture reference machine. Okay, this is what it is, just evaluating what it has to do, but where is that it started doing this? All this is just evaluation part. Okay, that's not an error. Even this is not. Okay. So here it started the network settings part. Actually, it is doing here. Successfully completed preparing the OS. This staging the boot image. Okay. Initiated a reboot request. Non-fatal error. All this is fine. Okay, let me do one thing. Where exactly it talks about Chrome. Installing application Google Chrome, right, at 8:31. And after that, what happened? And got the install directory. Process completed with exit code 0. But I successfully completing installing the application. But we saw error 617, and we also see that there's no Google Chrome on this machine. Okay, so since it is not clear from SMSTS log, let me look at the second log that I was talking about, which is related to the application app enforce log file. Is Google Chrome an application or a package? It is an application, right? So why don't I see application installation file? It's just the exit manager. This is fine, but why don't I see anything related to application, app enforce or app intent or app discovery? To me, this looks a little bit weird. And also, I doubt if client agent is completely running or not. The client agent is not completely running, right? It does not have all the cycles. It doesn't have the site details. Okay, I think I got it. I got it. I got the error. Makes sense. Now everything makes sense to me. So basically what happened after the client agent installation, it, the client was not able to communicate with the server to proceed further with the application installation. So why did that happen is in the installation parameters, while we have installed the client agent and then during the installation parameters, we haven't given any server that it has to communicate to, like the SMS management point or the site code. We haven't given anything there, right? So that's the reason why it couldn't proceed with the installation. So in that case, I guess the same thing will happen even with our target machine as well. After it applies operating system, if we don't change this in the task sequence, it will again happen. The same thing will happen with this. Let me go back to my Sccm. So that's a basic error, basic mistake from my end. So basically the client agent itself was not working, not able to communicate. So why did that happen is because here when you go to administration, come on, it's very slow. On this side, if you check the client installation settings, client push installation, so you give the site code, SMS site code is equal to so and so, right? And the management point sometimes. So that kind of installation properties were not given when you're doing it in the task sequence, neither in the build capture or in the Win7 deployment. So ideally you are supposed to give the SMS site code here, not here. It should be as part of edit. This is where you are installing the client package, right? So here you are supposed to give the properties. So let me quickly check on the properties. Just give me a minute. So I'm giving the SMS management point. So what is the management point here? It is may SCCM, right? Dot what's this? May SCCM dot mailab.com. So this is the management point. Now it knows whom to contact, right? I hope I hope this did not reach, the client machine did not reach till there. Target machine, so it is still installing devices. Okay, after this it is going to install the client agent. I'm hoping that while it install client agent, it will be able to communicate um, with the server, with the management point now. So what are the properties or the installation properties that I can give there? I can give the SMS management point, as well as I can also give the SMS site code. So if I don't give any site code, it will consider it as an automatic site code, and it will detect its site code as may. Okay, so instead of leaving it as auto, if you want, you can also specify there SMS site code is good auto. But see, in the case of build and capture task sequence, it failed. If you see the SMSTS log, or if you see the application log files, I don't see anywhere application bind is being downloaded, or I couldn't see any app intent, app discovery, app enforce log files. Even in SMS task sequence, it was not clear that the application installation succeeded or failed, right? So that made me to think whether the client agent is really installed properly or not, right? So that's the reason when I went to control panel and found under client agent, there are all the cycles were not there, and the site code was not there, right? So that made me to think that the client agent is not properly installed, right? So now what I did, so since we cannot now change in the build and capture task sequence and again rebuild and recapture a new Vim file, instead of that, I have made change to the deployment task sequence client agent installation. So there I gave the property as, okay boss, this is your management point. So while installing the SSM client agent itself, tell it that this is your management point. Now, since it knows its management point, it will at least start communicating with management point, and management point will take care of, telling it like, okay, if you want to download the machine policy and all that. See, everything depends everything comes from the management point, right? So once if you have that connectivity between this client machine and management point, it will start communicating with it for installing applications, for sending state messages, for downloading the policies, for everything. So I'm hoping that uh, this should fix the application installation error what we had earlier. So I want to walk through this process along with you. Right, so looking at reference windows on machine really helped us to identify that the issue is with the client agent installation itself. So I think now I can turn it off. The purpose is served. I just have the target machine now. And on the Sccm server, what I can do is I can either look at this report, refreshing it, or now I guess since this machine has a name, let me try with that name. What's the machine name? It's target 7. Is this the machine name? It's better I first ping this machine. You know what you can also do is we haven't enabled F8. If you have enabled that F8, so what will happen when this machine is in booting stage, if you click F8 here, it should open a DOS window, command prompt window, wherein you can check for IP config. That will help you in troubleshooting. Like you can click on IP config, or ping some machines, or try to find the host name of that machine. So all those such kind of details can be found. So how do you enable this? So in the Sccm itself, in the console, in the boot image, so this is something related with the boot image, right? So when you go to the boot image properties, so here you have an option to customize and enable command support testing only. So when you enable this command support, what will happen is you can actually hit F8 and get a command prompt, and that will help you in troubleshooting. Okay, fine. Now let me try to ping that server, ping that client machine. I don't know what's the machine name. As per Sccm, it should be target underscore win7. Let me see if I can ping that. Target underscore win7. Okay, I see 12.7.mainlab.com. I'm not able to ping the machine. Okay, let's wait. Let's wait for it to come up. So guys, tomorrow I will also talk about the hydration kit. I'm I'm hoping that that will help you. If you guys are not able to prepare a lab, okay, which is working right, so what you can do is you can use hydration kit, which will automatically create the server for you. It will automatically create the client machines and rest everything, right? Maybe you guys can try that. So okay, let me step away from the desk and let this progress bar complete whatever it is doing. Okay, let it install the client agent, and I'm hoping that this time it will communicate with the management point, and there shouldn't be any issues in downloading Google Chrome, right? See you soon, guys. Bye. So I'm just looking at the report because it says Adobe Reader and Google Chrome are installed. I wanted to see if they're really installed or not. So I am trying to refresh this report, but some reason my machine is damn slow today. So I say applying device drivers, set up operating system. So all this is done. After that, enable BitLocker is failed. That means this is not now. This was earlier thing. So let me go to the end of the report. Okay. Okay. So I need to refresh it. It did not have the detailed status. Yes, now it will have. Let me go to the last step. Okay. So what exactly happened on this machine? Setup Windows configuration, install applications. Yep. Yeah. This time Adobe Reader has 0. It says successfully installed. Google Chrome has 0. It says successfully installed. And after that, it finished the install application. So restore. It failed restoring, right? But as we said, continue an error. It will obviously fail because there is no user data captured. So it will obviously fail. But then um, since we said continue error, it proceeded further and it has reported as the task sequence manager successfully completed execution of the task sequence. Task sequence is completed successfully. Now if you go to the machine, target machine, right? Login with administrator. Let me log in with the domain account. Okay, this is the first time I'm logging into this machine. So guys, this is a bare metal machine which does not have any operating system. So on this machine, what we did, we have ran the captured Vim file, right? Along with that, we have also installed LOB apps like Google Chrome and Adobe Reader. All right. So let's see what happened on this machine. And we have also joined this machine to domain as part of task sequence. We have added this machine to OU as part of task sequence. We need to even check that part as well, right? So while it is preparing, let me take you to the domain controller and let's see if it has really added this machine to domain or not. And did it add it to the respective OU. So what was the OU? So we have created a OU called deployed machines. So if you see deployed machines here, there you go. You have this computer created here, right? Target underscore win7. Right guys? So let me show it to you in dsa.msc. So if I go to deployed machines, so it is not only added to domain, it is also added to the respective OU, right? This part is done. Now let's go back to the client machine. Okay, it's a work network. Close. Guys, as you can see, there is Adobe, there's Google Chrome on the desktop. So Google Chrome is installed. I guess Adobe Reader should also be there. Okay. Adobe Reader is not there on this machine. Okay. So I see only Google Chrome getting installed and Adobe Reader did not install. But if I go back to the report, it says Adobe Reader is installed successfully. Let me refresh and see if it has got more data now. Now it says the application is installed successfully. So let me go back and see if it is because of any detection method it is saying so. Where is our client machine? This is the target machine. And let's look at the Sccm cache. I have only Google Chrome here. I don't see Adobe Reader here. And if I go to C Windows CCM logs, what exactly happened with Adobe Reader app discovery? Okay, wait a minute. Let me have CM trace. That will be much easier. May SCCM SMS underscore May tools CM trace. So it first checked if application is installed. It says it couldn't find application Adobe Reader there. So application not discovered. So it went with the detection logic. So it says did not detect the app. So then it performed the application installation and again it checked, but it couldn't find Adobe Reader installed successfully there. So let me check what happened during the installation. For that, let me check the DTS and CTM log files or even app enforce log file. App enforce. So there is no Adobe entry here. So to me it looks like according to SCCM it is not considering as a failure, right? To SCCM it is not considering as failure, though it has tried to detect the app, it couldn't find the app and it is supposed to install. I don't see it as a failure. So that kind of is interesting to me. Let me go back to the application and see. So all this is part of troubleshooting, right? So let's see, go back to SCM and see what is the actual issue. I'm trying to see what could be an issue, why this is not installed. Distribution settings are fine, deployment type, content locations, supersedence. Okay, now deployment types, script, edit, content. Okay, for this we have kept persist content in the client cache. That is fine. programs detection method. If this exists, okay. See, the detection method we are checking under C program files x86, right? But on the client machine, the installation happened on D drive. If you go and check on the target machine, the installation is under D drive, right? It's happening on D drive, and we are checking under C drive, whereas C drive here it used C drive for the recovery partition. Right guys, so that is the reason it is going and checking under detection method, and it is not able to discover that application, and when it is trying to install application, maybe the Acrobat Reader setup.exe, it is again trying to install under C drive, the default, and it was not able to install there, and after the installation is completed again, it is checking under the C program file. See, basically what we have set here is, we have set here the detection method as it has to check if C program files x86 Acrobat Reader 32.exe is there or not. But it is not even able to go till there. There is no C program files x86 itself. So it is not even able to go and check its existence. So that's where it has turned back. So ideally what we need to give is, instead of C program files x86, so if you know that in all your machines it is going to be C drive or D drive, make it specifically D drive program files x86 or C drive program files x86. If you are not sure, just put percentage program files percentage. So in that case, if you put percentage program files percentage, that means it is an environmental variable. So on every machine, when it runs, it will find out if it is under C drive or D drive. So basically it will find out that way. See, for example, if I have to show you on this machine, okay, let me show you on my machine first on the Sccm server. So on Sccm server, command prompt, just see what is percentage program files percentage means. Okay, let me put it this way, cd, right, cd percentage program files percentage. It is actually going to C program files, right? Similarly, on this machine, if I am going to target machine, if somebody is running CMD, I'm going to percentage program files percentage. Okay, CD, I have to put CD percentage program files percentage. It is going to deprogram files, right? So basically what we need to do here is, instead of hard coding it as C program files x86 in our detection method on our SCM server, instead of hard coding here as C program files x86, I could have given percentage program files percentage Adobe Reader 11, then it would have been installed on this machine. So let me do this now. So I'll not make change, I'll show you. I'll go to target machine. I'll run the deployment evaluation cycle, control panel, category, small accounts, configuration manager. If ideally when I run deployment evaluation cycle, it should again do that discovery thing. Should it? Because I have not targeted. Okay, I have not targeted it, right? So let me also target that. Just be with me for a couple more minutes. Let me do that. May Sccm, cancel. Forget about the task sequence. We know that the problem is with the detection method, right? So let us fix it. So what I'm saying, if I just target deploy this to that machine, what is our machine? Our machine is deploy Win7 collection. Collections, deploy, call Win7 deploy. Next. Come on, make it fast available, make it required. Next. Available now. Next. Next. Okay. So now I'll go to the client machine, target Win7. First I'll run the machine policy so that it knows that it has to install right? It has to install Adobe Reader. So if you go to CCM cache, if you go to the CCM cache, or if you check the CCM logs here, I still see the policy is not yet completed. So let me rerun the policy, because after I just clicked OK, I've run the policy, right? So I think by now I'm giving it enough time. Mhm. Now I want to again go back to app discovery, right? I want to run and see if it is trying to, okay. So again, it has run this Adobe Reader part, right? Right now at 9:23, it came to know that it has to install Adobe Reader. So it says application not discovered, so did not detect. So ideally, since it did not detect, it has to download and try to install that application. So where is that? See Windows CCM logs. See, it is not installing because, where is it? See Windows CCM cache, it did not even download. So basically it is checking for the detection type under C, and it couldn't find the program files folder itself, right? So let's make change at the detection method, like percentage program files percentage, and see, let's see what happens. Let us go back to SCM server, Adobe Reader, deployment type, right? Detection method. Let's see how to make changes to it. We are suspecting that here, because it is hard coded to C and C program files, it is failing. So what I wanted to give here is, instead of this, if what will happen if I give percentage program files percentage. Ideally, when you give percentage program files percentage, it will go to now D program files. But since we have this file of with a 32-bit application on a 64-bit system, I'm hoping that it will go to program files x86. Okay, program files. Let's see what will happen. Okay, apply. So this, since this is a change in the application, so let me go to the client machine, target machine, and this time let me, is this the target machine? Yeah, this is the one. Let me go to the control panel. It is already open here, configuration manager, and click the machine policy first. Okay, and give it 1 or 2 minutes, and then run the application deployment evaluation cycle. This time when it evaluates, it should find, okay, I should not check on a C program files, I should check on a D program files x86, and it should say that, okay, I don't see the application there, the folder, the file does not exist, and then ideally it should start downloading Adobe Reader and install under D program files x86. That's what I'm hoping. Let's see. So let me run this app deployment evaluation cycle. Go back to app discovery. This is app enforce. App discovery. This is at 9:26. Right? Application is not discovered. Yes, it will not discover, but this time I'm hoping that it should actually start downloading into the other location. This is at 9:07, right? So earlier, this is revision 3. Let me check on it. 9:23. It was revision 2. So it identified the detection logic that I've changed. As you can see here, it is revision 2, right? Okay, 9:26. Perform detection of app deployment. Type Adobe Reader. Did not detect app deployment type. Performing detection of app deployment type. Application not discovered. So Application is not discovered till there, it is fine because you don't have application installed here, but ideally it has to. Let me check the intent eval. Application for policies for machine, not supersede role. Code operator 64-bit. Required application. For some weird reason, it is not proceeding further with downloading this application. I'd like to stop recording for a moment and try to find out a solution now and come back and recording so that the recording itself is not bigger. Okay, I'm just pausing the recording for a couple of minutes. So this is the culprit. See, we have the requirement set as only when OS build info equals to Q1 2017. And obviously on the machine that we have just built, this particular registry will not be there, right? Because in the capture Vim file or in the task sequence, we are not having this registry. So as this registry will not be there, so it will detect that the application is not installed. And what will it do after that? Since the application is not installed, what is it supposed to do? It is supposed to install. While it is trying to install, it finds that the requirement is not met. That means it is not, this application is not required for this client machine, right? So to Sccm, it is a successful statement. So I am not installing on this machine because it is not required on this machine. As per the requirements, it is not required on this machine. To Sccm, it is a successful statement. So that's the reason it is not installing it on this machine. And it is considering that as a success. Not installing on this machine is success because I'm not supposed to install on this machine as the requirements are not met. So my bad. I should have deleted this requirements. Since there are no requirements, now what will happen as part of the client machine policy, if I now run configuration manager, If I run the machine policy, sorry, if I run the machine policy, it will now identify that the task sequence, it will identify that Adobe is not installed, right? Wait for a minute, now at 9:32, right? 9:36 you should see again the app discovery will happen here, and this time since it is not installed and the requirement is met, that means on this machine the application needs to be installed. It will download the content and it will install it with an exit code 0. Let's see that now. Right, so we have just run the machine policy. So what you can do is to speed up, you can also run the application deployment evaluation cycle as well, just to speed up the process. So at 9:36 it has tried to run the detection deployment type. Okay, and let's see what's happening in the background. I'm just comparing this with Google Chrome. Just give me a minute. So this is for Google Chrome. Now this is Adobe Reader. Yeah, this is Google Chrome. So here, see the applicability here, it is applicable. That means as per requirements, this is required, applicable. So that's the reason Google Chrome got installed, right? Applicability is applicable. So based on that, and the current state is non-compliant, so it has installed it. Now when you come to this, our application, the applicability is not applicable. So still whatever change we have done is not reflected on the client machine. So let's go back and run the policy once again. I want to see the applicability as applicable, changing it to applicable. Yeah, now you see the applicability has changed to applicable, right? Now it has found that this is required, right? So here even in app and force, you'll see new entries here. You'll see the application being installing, and you'll also see it gets downloaded to Sccm cache. If you go back to C Windows, Sccm cache, yeah, there you see it is downloading now. And now in this particular log file that we are seeing, you'll see new entries which will say application is getting is installing from Sccm cache to Adobe Reader, and it will get triggered, and after that again your app discovery will detect and finds that the application is installed successfully. Let's see that. So right now it is downloading to Sccm cache. Oh, it found it is applicable. So in discovery, this is app discovery. So as you can see, revision 5, and the only thing left out is once it is downloaded, it should trigger from it. Looks like it is still downloading. Data breeder. Yeah, it's downloaded. Let's open this and see what's there. Okay, data breeder is there. So it should trigger now. I guess I made it required and not available. It is just testing our patience, guys. So since it is downloaded, it should have immediately triggered. Let me just run the policy, evaluation policy, not the machine policy. Okay, just to speed up. Okay, so it started. So it says Sccm cache 2, it is running as all, so it will take maximum runout time is 120 minutes. So right now it is running. It shouldn't take more than 2 minutes. It should complete with exit code 0. And after that it will again go back and check under program files x86 if acro reader 32.exe is there or not. So it might fail if based on the detection method, but at least the application will install. Let's see. Waiting for the process 816 to finish. As you can see, Adobe Reader installation is running. This is the one. There should be one more, right? Yeah, there you go. So it says exited with 0, exit code 0. Okay, so it checked with the table, so that's a success entry. Now it is checking the detection method. It checked that it discovered the application, so it found under D program files x86 that exe is there. So now it considered it as a successful deployment, right? So now if you go back to your start, you will find Adobe Reader 11 there, right guys? So as part of task sequence, Adobe Reader 11 was not installed because of the requirement. The requirement was set as OS build info is equal to that Q1 2017, which will never be there. So it found that okay, the machine is not meeting the requirements, so this application is not applicable for it. So it is not applicable, so it is considered as successful installation, right? But that's the reason it was not throwing any error, exit code or anything. It says just 0. But when you look into app intent, in the intent it is clearly showing us applicability as not applicable earlier. So after I removed that requirement, it is showing as applicability as applicable. So it is required for this application. This application is required for this machine. So since the detection method says the application is not available, it has to download. So it has downloaded and installed the application. Right guys? Clear? Perfect. Okay then. So let me stop recording, and that's all for today. Let's meet tomorrow morning. Take care guys. This completes the deployment task sequence.